I went through a few different offers, and again, this was probably about 8 years ago now, and I spiraled down in a huge way, in a massive, massive way. And I was living off credit cards and trying to pay the bills, and but that lack of confidence took me into a very, 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 very dark place. But I had no one to help me get out of it, and so I had to fight myself out of it, and that took a lot to pull myself out of that. But I had no one and nothing to lean on, so that took some inner work, but that wasn't proactive inner work. That was reactive inner work, and the only thing I could do to get out of it was dial till my bloody ears bled and create enough leads for me to sell to get myself out of it. And that really, really turned me around and gave me that self-belief and that confidence that, do you know what? When my back's against the wall, I can pull myself out of anything.
Welcome to Behind the Sale. I'm your host, Princess B. On this show, we talk about sales and leadership in the high ticket space. My goal is to help you level up your skills as a leader so you can close more deals and transform more lives. Today, I have a super exciting guest. I have Sean Wray on the show. When I first met Sean, it was back at Bill's event in London last year. I don't even know if you remember meeting me. I was a
Yeah.
tiny little shell of a human. When I listened to you speak at that event about the business side of closing, it blew my mind because it made me realize that this is serious business. It was the first time that I heard someone talk about treating our business as a closer as an actual business.
Mm.
And you were really straight up. You were like, you don't just show up, read a script, and make 10K. Like there's so much more that goes into that. So thank you so much for coming on here. I'm excited to extract some more wisdom from you. Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Okay, I'll keep it short and sweet. My name's Sean Ray. I've been in the high ticket space for now about 14 years. So I'm definitely classed as a veteran. I've been around long enough to make every single mistake that any closer will ever make. And I've been resilient enough to overcome them and be here at this moment in time, helping real closers kind of make an impact and, create the kind of lifestyle that they want to create through just teaching people how to work hard and work better. So yeah, there's a lot more to
Mm.
it than that, but I'll keep it brief.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on here.
Appreciate having me.
Yeah, I'm gonna start with softballs first to get you warmed up, and then we'll get into the juicier stuff. Okay.
Fair enough. Yeah.
A question that I get a lot in the DMs is how the heck can a sales rep land a good offer? And I feel like, man, maybe there's another side to this that I can't really offer that I think you can because I'm lucky enough that I talk about my wins and stuff. And so I've created a reputation. Like people know, like I go on offers and I become the top, always. So I have that going for me. For people who
Mhm.
don't have that, what is something that you think sales reps are missing that's causing them to struggle with landing a good offer?
Um, Misaligned expectations. I think a lot of that is to do with the marketing around it, and some of it is to do with the industry that we're currently in at the moment. And I've been speaking about this a lot recently, that I think people just expect to make 10K and walk onto an offer and it all fine. The reason why you are where you are is because you took that extreme ownership of, I need to improve my skill set to make me feel confident. I need to work hard to get results. And then those results and that skill set will speak for themselves. However, there is another side to that, which is network. You only get on those offers if you're aligned with the right people that can make the right connections. Because most business owners will prefer to take a recommendation over going through a recruitment process. So now, for example, when business owners come to me asking for reps, it's very much a referral. Like I don't charge reps. I don't make any money out of sending reps into offers, but I'll only send reps that I've either coached and trained myself, worked with, or see that they're working hard, showing up, and doing everything they need to do. Um, I think for me personally, I like to see hard work. Skill for me is nice, but quite often it's entitled. But
Mhm.
when someone comes across my radar that I see working hard, that I see going the extra mile, that I see is prepared to take extreme ownership, that it's prepared to do whatever it takes to get the job done, not whatever they think it takes to get the job done. I have a massive amount of respect for reps that show up like that. And I'll recommend anyone, that comes across my kind of eye line that has that work ethic. And I think honestly, I think the industry is missing out on closers that work hard. I genuinely
Hmm.
do. Been in sales recruitment for about 5 years now. The level of entitlement is high. The level of extreme ownership is somewhat mismanaged against that. But it's all within our control, in my opinion. And I think that you either show up, work hard, and prepare to take your licks on an offer, because it's not always going to be gravy. It's not always going to be high flying. And congratulations to you for just closing a 75K deal. Um,
Yeah.
but the reason why you did that is because you're good at what you do. And there is a certain level of that coming naturally, but people don't pay 75K just because you've got good rapport skills. They pay you
Yeah.
75K because you've got great skills and you've continuously worked on those. So I think for people like yourself, you shine out in the industry very quickly, because there's very few people that are prepared to go to that length to work as hard or to do what you did in order to put yourself there. If you notice when you post your wins, the first thing people always say is, "What are you selling?"
Hmm.
Not not how hard did you work to get there.
Yep.
And I think that comes down to that level of entitlement. Oh, if I was on that offer, then I could do that too. No, you can't. And there is and I think that for you personally, like, and I know when we first got on the call here, there was that like real excitement and that charge and that adrenaline, and that only comes from being obsessed. And I think that you have to be obsessed to be truly good at what you do, especially in this space, because you wake up every single day with a reset. Every single week, you come to Monday, you reset. Every single month, you reset. And it's kind of like, I've got to start again. And you've got to be obsessed or crazy to make it in this industry. You really do. Um, and I've been watching your career for a while, and it's very obvious to me that that's the trajectory that you are congruent with, because you can be a flash in the pan at sometimes, but you can't consistently be top closer in every offer you work without putting the work in and recognizing skill, and hard work beats anyone every single time. And I think if I had access to more reps like you, I think a lot more business owners will be a lot more fruitful. And I think there's be a lot more harmony in the industry. But I think that there is an entitlement, to be honest.
Yeah.
And the average turnaround of rep right now, business owners are having to take on anywhere between 5 to 6 reps to find one. And that's only going up because there's more
Mhm.
reps coming into the industry. There's more, be careful what I say here, because I respect everyone that is a sales coach, but there's at mass, you can't be specific. You know, you can't close 75K offer just turning up on group calls, because the specificity that's required to execute that kind of sale is personal to you. And that takes a lot of reflection, but it also takes a lot of awareness of where you're at. But it also takes a lot of specificity in coaching that and nurturing that kind of skill set. And again, I think that a lot of people just are turning up on coaching, but not putting the work in. It's almost like I ticked a box to make me feel better about myself, but it's not. I put the work in. And
Yes.
I think there's so many reps just offer hopping at the moment because they're trying to find that holy grail offer. And
Hmm.
like what you said, as soon as you post that win, oh, what offer do you work on?
Yep.
Or if I was on that offer, I'd close them too. No, you won't. You just
Yeah.
won't.
It's 100% true. Like that's why I've been getting so many DMs lately. People being like, "What do you sell? How do I get on offers like that?" And it's like it's about the vehicle to a certain extent, but without the skill set, I wouldn't have been able to get on that account, you know?
No, no, because all it takes is one bad offer that you work, and your reputation goes away because you're only as good as your last offer. And this is why your network's important. But your network will only back you if you back yourself. And so there's again, it really does come down to, well, I've been in the industry a long time now. Like, I deserve that. No, you don't. Like, no, you don't. You're only as good as your last offer. And when that level of confidence kicks in, people get complacent in their skill set and they stop working hard. Um, I, you know, like to surround myself with people that are better than me because it's the only way I'm going to keep on going and stay sharp. But I deliberately do that because I want
Mhm.
to be the dumbest person in the room. And we've all heard it all before. But you've just recently been to an event in Ireland, surrounding yourself with people that are as good, if not a little bit better, and
Mhm.
that's the only way you grow. But again, putting yourself in rooms like that and nominating yourself to be uncomfortable is a key is key. Being coachable, being teachable, like not having the arrogance, not having the cockiness and the ego, and just going, yeah, there's always more I can learn. And I just think the industry needs more of that. I genuinely do.
Mhm.
I coach a lot of sales teams, and it's amazing how many people show up just because they have to, not because they want to. And the reps that want to show up and ask me plenty of questions and engage a lot, they'll always do better. Everyone else is just clocking in, clocking out. And then a bad week is, oh, it's bad leads. No,
Mm.
it's you.
Well, then what metric do you use to measure whether or not a sales rep is like doing enough work?
I think it has to be just obviously KPIs and metrics are important because it's what we're measured by. You can't be a good closer unless you're closing deals. It's just, A and B conversation. But it goes beyond that because I'm sure that you may have been on offers before where it's took you a few weeks to kind of acclimate to things and how it's done and the clientele and the problem and everything that kind of goes along with that. It's never instantaneous 100% of the time. But what I'm looking for is the person that shows up is going, right, I've reviewed a couple of my calls. This is what I'm seeing right now. Can you help me out with this? Can you help me out with that? It's that putting your hands up and going, I want some help with this. It's not because I think to a degree there's a certain shyness with reps. It's like, well, I
Mm.
probably should know that. Well, if you don't, just ask. There should be no ego on a team. It should be about everyone fighting for the end goal because a team can't win unless you have a team. And it's great that, you get a closer that can close some great deals. Fantastic. But that doesn't make a business grow. The whole
Mm.
purpose of being a good closer is not being selfish. It's supporting those around you. Because if that company doesn't get to 1 million a month, no one's got a job. And we're all packing up and going home. And I think that to a degree there needs to be, yes, there's that selfishness, but I've got to serve the team as well, and I've got to be there to support and back up everyone else on my team as well. And again, it's a selflessness that we have, and I'm assuming at some point leadership will be on your cards, and that comes with a selfless attitude to be able to kind of support the team around you for the great good of everything else that goes on. Um, but the metrics are really about personality. It's about attitude. It's about work ethic. It's about contribution. Those are things that I can work with someone like that, but I can't work with someone that's not putting numbers up, that's not asking for help. So for me, it's more than just did you make it or didn't you? But I do expect you to put the work in, and I do expect you to show up having done everything. Again, like when you go into a new offer, what do? You go through the marketing front to back, left to right, up, down. You speak to people on the team, you do call reviews, you do the due diligence that you need to do to show up on the offer to the best of your abilities. And what I often find is that's not the case. And people are just showing up expecting to close without putting the work in. So again, it's that expectation versus reality. And this is why the churn rate in reps is so high. Like everyone's looking for that holy grail, but it doesn't exist. It really doesn't. And if you wanna last in this industry, you have to take the rough with the smooth. And there's going to be a lot of rough. There just is. But if you're not willing to accept that, then you really shouldn't be here because all you're going to do is offer hop, and your career will be very short lived, and you'll end up, going to a 9 to 5 because you don't know what else to do. It's
Yes.
a very dog eat dog industry, it really is. But you can survive by taking extreme ownership and having a great network of people around you. Um, and I'm sure you're probably very similar that if something went wrong tomorrow, your network would catch you, and they'd be like, right, I can do this for you, I can do that for you. You'll never go a day without a job ever
Mm-hmm.
because you're
Yeah.
good at what you do. People respect you, and you've networked really well with the people around you. And there's that respect on both sides. And you know, if I had more reps like you, my life would be a lot easier being in the position I'm in. But unfortunately, I don't. So that's why we've got to go through very rigorous selection processes now, because that's just the way it is. Um,
Mhm.
you know, reps just expect to walk onto offers. And I think if you're any good at what you do, you'll be prepared to show how good you are. Because if I was running a sports team, for example, I'm not going to bring someone on who can't kick or throw a ball, because that's a skill set that I need you to have to be on the team. And it's the same thing with this. If I haven't heard a call, or you haven't got any people that can vouch for you, or you can't produce metrics, then I'm taking a punt. And the business owners I work for are taking a punt. And that's a big risk to take. I remember, like, very recently, I put a post up about rep selection. And I
Mm.
got heavily criticized for it, because it's like, well, I'm good enough, I should be able to walk in any offer. It's not like that. With a business owner paying three, four, $500 per book call, you better be able to throw the ball, and you better be able to do it well. Because if you can't, then why would the business owner take the risk? And I see both sides of the fence, because I've been on both sides of the fence. But with the quality of reps, you know, there's a lot of extreme ownership missing. On the other side of the fence, there's a lot of business owners that don't know their ass from their elbow. They just don't, and so they have no processes. This is why, as a rep, I could probably bet that if you walked into a business tomorrow, hypothetically speaking, that had no process, you'd already have one.
Yeah, I do. Like the newest account that I started working on, there was no SOP, there was no onboarding process. I onboarded myself.
Yep,
But that's because I know what I need to do to ramp up. And within 3 days of joining, I took calls and closed deals
exactly
in a
right.
niche that I know nothing about, knew nothing
Exactly
about.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Because you're a profession, and that's what professionals do. And I think that a lot of people can learn from that kind of attitude, not expecting, but showing up and doing. Because the only way you can guarantee a consistent income is for you personally to have a system and a process that you work within, that you know works for you. Now,
Hmm.
there'll be some businesses that will want you to tweak and tailor, but on the whole, they pretty much give you free reign.
Hmm.
You know, they give you a script and all that and the other, but as long as you're closing deals, they pretty much don't care.
Yeah.
Um, and when you do start closing deals, it's like, what are you doing?
Hmm.
Well, I'm doing the job that you should have had in the first place. But
Yeah.
again, it comes down to that kind of attitude that you have, which defines the rest of your career, because there is no career path for what we do.
Yeah.
Zero. No one says, hey, be a closer, and then this happens, and that happens, and that happens. You have to figure your way around it. And again, I think that if people just spend the time putting the work in, I mean, if you think about $10,000 a month, when you're at a certain level, it doesn't seem like a lot. But when
Yeah.
you're starting out, it's a big hill to climb. So many factors have got to be present before you'll make that consistently. But this is why the churn rate's so high, because it requires you doing the work. It requires you having a good network, and it requires you being resilient enough to get on enough offers to put yourself in a position to get there. Because it's not going to be all kind of sunshines and rainbows in the beginning. It
Hmm.
just isn't. There is a kind of a dark and ugly side to this industry that no one really talks about that much. And it's full of ups and downs, lefts and rights, and it's full of disappointment, and it's full of all the horrible stuff. I had a rep come to me the other day, and it was like, the business owner was just oof, full tilt into her. And I was like, well, the reason why she's frustrated, because she had no system. But you're new to sales and you had no system, which means that nothing worked. And so the business owners take it out on sales reps because they can. And sales reps don't know enough to be able to fight back. And you know, it's unfortunate, but most reps won't make it, because they don't have the guidance, or the proper guidance, or they don't know where to go to get it. And
Hmm.
even if they did have it, there's still that extreme ownership of doing whatever it takes,
Yeah.
which is limited.
It's like I think the issue from where I stand is like people do not see the depth of what extreme ownership really looks like. They think it's enough to just invest in coaching and implement like the frameworks, but it's really
Yeah.
more than that. And the answer that I tell people over and over and over when they ask me like, what witchcraft are you doing to like keep to have this kind of momentum that I have? I feel bad because the answer I give is like it's so simple. I feel like it's not what they want to hear, but it's like you've got to just do the inner work, do the hard work, and like eat shit for a long time first.
Yeah.
Because
You gotta
yeah,
shovel it in a huge
yeah,
way.
yeah. But it's like people don't. I mean, shit. Even me, like I didn't realize the extreme ownership that was required until I was like deep in it. Like a year in is when I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much more hard work that I need to do.
Yeah.
And then when I started doing that, that's when I was able to really like get results consistently. Um,
Yep.
and then
Exactly right.
something I wanted to ask you about as well. This is more like practical, like on the sales call kind of thing. Um, so a big shift in the high ticket space is that there is so much more sales resistance because there are, I guess, the longer the high ticket space is around, the more prospects have been on like multiple sales calls and stuff. So when they show up to your call, they've probably been on four, five, six other calls. So there's a lot of resistance. Do you have any tips for how reps can navigate that? Low key, I'm asking for that advice for myself as well because I'm dealing with it too.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to if you think about it, I think I'll use this as a maybe a practical example. NEPQ's been around for a long time now, a good 5, 6 years, maybe more, but mainstream about 5, 6 years. How many sales reps have been through that? A ton. So with that in mind, of course, like the general population has heard a lot of this stuff already. But the big thing for me is like when I coach people, I coach them on the specifics of how they execute, not the generics of how most people do it. And I won't necessarily work with people that are just coming into the industry because they don't have a framework enough yet. And I don't want to put myself as an advanced trainer, but I'm the type of trainer that gets the most out of the reps that are doing well, because now it becomes the small things that you have to pay massive attention to detail to. Those are the things that naturally create the shift for someone like yourself at the level that you're at. And so realistically, any generic framework will work for a new rep because it gives them a structure. But then there's like taking that structure and making it yours. And that's the important thing. You've got to make it yours.
Mhm.
There's a generation of closers out there that go, do you like? And it's just Jeremy 101. And I've got
Oh
a lot of
God.
exactly. I've got a massive amount of respect for every sales trainer in this industry because they've brought something to someone at some point and they've helped people escalate and elevate and really kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's how you specifically execute, which reduces the sales resistance, how the tonality that you use, the questions that come natural to you, what's congruent to your personality and how you talk, you walk, what you believe. And it's those things that help reps become free of the limitations and really
Mhm.
relax with the congruence of that skill set that they have. I can't put you into my box because how I sell is unique to me. So me teaching you that is pointless.
Mm.
But me helping you listen better, to think about questions more, to question yourself more about what you do and how you execute, to make you aware of what you're doing and how you could change things, to make sure that you understand intentions and outcomes so you've got the freedom and the flexibility of language to be able to reach that objection. These are much more advanced conversations that only someone at your level will understand. But there's a level that people will get to where you're consistently 10K. And that's where most people can typically top out from a skill set perspective, but they don't take it beyond that. And so what's worked for them is what they'll continue to do. But as the market changes, they don't. And you'll notice a deterioration in your close rate because of exactly what you said. There's a resistance in the industry to the same process that everyone teaches. And let's face it, most of it is fairly generic these days.
Mhm.
Starts and finishes the same way. And that's everyone copying everyone else and adding a certain unique twist to it. But the uniqueness is you.
Mhm.
You're the one that makes the difference. And so to focus on you as an individual, your personality, to be able to really put yourself in a more congruent and more confident position, that just makes sense to you in every perfect way, that's how you create the difference. But not many are prepared to do the work because it requires that deep work, and it requires you studying your own game tape and really having that awareness of what you're doing, and more importantly, understanding why you do it. Because every client
Mhm.
will react differently, but you can't treat every client with a cut and paste generic response. So
Yeah.
you won't see me teaching generic word plays and objection handles. I don't do it. And the reason why I don't do it is because I'd rather you have an understanding of how to overcome objections rather than me give you the words to overcome the objection. Because
Mm,
if it doesn't work, then you're stuck. You've run out of things to
yeah.
say. And
Yeah.
when you run out of things to say, your confidence drops and you've lost the sale.
Yeah.
I'd much rather teach you how to extrapolate the most out of the client, so making them do the work for you. Now, this isn't anything revolutionary, but the reason why the sales resistance is so high is because lazy closers are not prepared to put the work in, and that generic wordplay is now so epidemic that, of course, the client's got resistance to it now. And that's the same for marketing. Marketing's been ripped and run, and everyone's copying everyone else. Everything's the same or a slight variation of. So that new, unique, and different is you. That's what you bring to the core. That uniqueness is you. And having a conversation, which most reps struggle to do, like
Mhm.
actually holding a conversation in a framework that is confident, is such a rare thing to hear, so rare. And it always comes across as like boxy and very awkward and very horrible transitions, terrible bridging questions. And it just comes across as the client, you can see the client's going, "Oh, for sure." So the client doesn't relax. And if they're not relaxed,
Yes.
in regard, and then you've lost it. It's
Yes.
conversation.
Oh my gosh. It's such a simple thing, but like it always comes back to the person. I think what's missing for a lot of people is that they don't have any confidence and conviction in themselves as a person. And so they rely too heavily on the frameworks. I
Yeah.
just realized as you were saying that, that's what shifted for me is that once I did the deeper work, did the harder work to build my confidence and conviction in myself, that's when I was able to just let go and talk how I
Mhm.
normally talk. And my humor comes out. I stutter less because I'm not nervous. I'm not overthinking anything. I'm just me. And that's how I
Right.
can sit here and close a 75K deal on the first call. Like it's crazy. But that's what it is. There's no magic. The witchcraft is just confidence in myself.
You
But no
see?
one wants to hear that answer.
No, no,
Like,
because that's the hard stuff.
yeah.
Like if you think about what's one of the hardest things to teach in sales, it's the cost of an action, it's consequence questions. Because for a lot of people, that's not a place that they want to go.
Yeah.
And so they can't be effective in that area because they've not done the inner work for themselves. They've not explored that as an option. And so it's difficult to talk about.
Mm,
For other closers, it's money. How many closers do you know that could say 75K with a confident, straight face and not
mm,
break rapport? Not many,
yeah. Mm,
because it does come down to how you see things. And it comes down to give you another example, I see I must do around about 100 call reviews a month on average. So I can kind of speak with a certain level of conviction when it comes to it, but I know what a rep is capable of after hearing them many, many times. The one thing they get tripped up on is they let the client sell them. And so they treat the client differently through insecurities that they have. So, for example, if someone earns more money than you, they naturally get put up on pedestal by the closer. If you've got a younger closer and you've got an older person on the call, there's a certain level of like, respect your elders type of thing. And so you change and adapt your process because of a preconceived idea and or stereotype of the person you're speaking to. And so now you're so out of process, but the client has sold you on being out of pocket. Same
mhm,
thing with clients that come on the call that give you one word answers. People change the process because it's like, well, I need to ask more questions to fill the time. And so your process goes out the window because you've adapted and changed something to suit the client. And that comes down to that lack of confidence in yourself, being able to stick to the process that you know that works. It's your sale to lose, not the client's. It's
Mm-hmm.
yours. So if you've lost the sale, it's because of something you did. It's not something the client did.
Mm,
Because again, extreme ownership, it's not
exactly.
their fault that they're an asshole, right? It's now my problem.
Mm-hmm.
So being acceptance of that, then I'm empowered to do something about it. But just saying that they're an ass, like, doesn't help you. It's just, oh, I'll wait till the next one, or I won't try as hard. Or, the common one that we all hear is the leads are crap. No, your 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 the way you think about the leads is preventing you from asking the right questions and doing the right job,
Mm-hmm.
because you're going in with a preconceived idea. So you change your questions, you change your intensity, and you go through the motions because, hey, like, they've turned up. Or you're quick to disqualify because you just think it's a waste of your time. 9 times out of 10, the closer is the one that will lose the sale through some preconceived idea or stereotype or preconceived notion of who that person is. And so they change their process to adapt for something that they've seen or heard. And it's a true professional should be able to go on a 10-mile run, come back in and run the same call, the same way, with the same conviction, intensity, passion, conviction, the whole 9 yards. But I don't see that. All I
Mm-hmm.
see is change constantly, adaptation. And when someone's like, well, my close rate's not good, there's a reason why, because you did something different on that call. You are the one that's like, I've got this like evidence of principle, right? If you close a 75K deal, that's evidence of that you can. So if, for example, next month, like, you can't close a door, it doesn't take away from the fact that you can do it. But your headspace is like, I can't. It's like a boxer walking into the ring thinking they're going to lose. They always will, with that kind of attitude and mentality. But that's where the professionals stand out above the rest, because it doesn't matter externally what happens. It matters internally how you show up. And if you can maintain that steady conviction, that almost stoicism about you, that I'm not going to be shaken, I'm not going to be moved, I don't care who turns on the call, I'm going to do the same thing I've always done, that gives me confidence in my process, that's congruent to the way I sell, and I'm going to do everything I possibly can. All right, I'm going to leave it all on the field on every single call. Because I got to a point where I was taking about 8, 9, 10 calls a day. And the thing I realized was, like, rate of diminished returns. The longer I went, the worse it got. And that was because I was putting so much into each call that it physically fatigues you, because you're listening so hard. You are concentrating and focused so much that it should be exhausting when you come out of the back end of that call. Not because
Mm-hmm.
you've been fighting, but because you've been paying attention. I've
Exactly.
got an hour to work on someone that's built up 35, 40 years of habits and routines. And the only way I'm going to get that deal over the line is if I pay close attention and I study everything, and I really work through, like, this process of helping people really figure out what their problems are, what their goals are, everything else that goes along with the sales process. But you should be exhausted coming out the back end of it,
Mm.
because you're the one that has to do all the hard work, not the client. It's
Yep.
you.
Yeah, we're just
Yeah,
like facilitating that transformation for the client on the call, and that is the hard work.
exactly
So
right.
let's,
It's exhausting. It's
it
very exhausting.
it is, but hey, that's why it pays well.
That's where we earn our money, though. And I think that's where people don't see the congruency between what we do and what we get paid for. Like, someone said to me once, like, as a closer, you are the ambassador of change. And I laughed and it was funny, but it's actually true, because that person cannot make that change unless you help them do so. And it's up to you to be that leader. But that leadership comes with confidence and skill, congruence with who you are, and that confident, stoic energy that you turn up with. You've got to be the lighthouse in the storm. You have to be. Because if you're not, no one else around them is capable of doing it. They're not capable of doing it. Their family and friends aren't capable of doing it. It's up to you. So you have to be the person that steps up, no one else. And if you don't get that deal over the line, like, I take it personally, because if I if I can't help that person and I didn't show up and do everything I possibly could, that person's either not going to get the solution they're looking for, which means it's more of the same, right?
Mm,
Which means more stress, more depression, more this, more that, and more the other.
yeah.
Or if they didn't make a decision, then their life can go on a completely different trajectory. But now, like, take that deal that you did today. That will completely change someone's business in the most impactful way possible. And you know what? Like, that person will make more money. And you know what? They'll be able to have great holidays. And because of the decision that you made to push, their kids will have, more fun. They'll have more time. They'll be able to smile with their parents more because they'll be able to do more. But you were a part of that. And I think we miss that sometimes in sales. We treat it as a transaction, but you're changing someone's life. And I think we forget that. And that's not
Mhm.
going to happen with a bunch of just clever little words. That requires impact, massive amount of impact that we have to bring to a call in order to create that level of change.
A
Because
hundred percent.
I don't know about you, but like I've always liked to kind of try and keep tabs with people that have helped to make that change. And I think
Yeah,
it's good to do so because it reminds you of what power you have and what influence and impact you can make on someone else's life. I mean, yeah, we get a monetary value out of it, but take the money away from it, you help that person smile more. You help that person live a better quality of life. You did that. And I think we just forget that sometimes. And I think that if you have that level of gravity with every conversation that you have, you'll take it more seriously and you will do more work because you know what the result is on the back end. But I just don't, I think we just take our job for granted sometimes. And I think that if you go deeper and really understand what we do here, you will work harder because it means more.
that's a bar right there. Like I think a lot of people they don't take the work seriously enough. But let's say for the people who are ready to take it seriously and who are ready to reach that next level, like how does someone even begin to do the work to strengthen their resilience, their mental toughness, so that way they can be the person that can lead people, whether the prospect makes 3K a month or 300K a month.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this very tongue in cheek to a degree. Um, the people around you, let's face it, rejection is tough for anyone to take. And we see it all day, every single day. And we feel it all day, every single day. And this, I think it's a mental game. It really is. So you really do need to have a self-awareness of exactly what that looks like, but you also need a good team of people to bounce off of as and when you're feeling a certain way. Because like this business is tough and you have to build that mental toughness, but it's harder to do it on your own. Much harder to do it on your own. It's like honestly, like when I met my wife, things changed. And the reason why they changed is because I had someone at home that went for bat for me every single day. And I think when you surround yourself with like once your family is centered, once your team is centered, there's nothing you can't do because you have the support network around you to help you do it. And for the first probably 10 years of my career, I was on my own. And it's not a great place to be. You feel lonely, you feel out of pocket. There's no one to support you. And if you want to do things the hard way, that's the hard way. And it's dark places. I mean, you hear reps a lot, alcohol abuse, porn addiction, drug addictions, all that kind of stuff to help them get through the day. And it's epidemic in our industry. It really is because of the work that we do, how hard it is, and the rejection and everything else that comes along with it. I mean, you have to be crazy to be a comms only person because it means that you have to bet on yourself to win every single day. And it's very easy. And I'm sure you've been there yourself. You've been through times where it's like you feel like you can't close the door and you're like, what the heck is going on? And it's hard to build up that toughness to go, that's okay. I'm fine. It takes you a few years to get there, but you can accelerate that by working harder in a shorter time and really learning those lessons. So the easiest option, what I would say to those people that are looking to build that resilience is honestly surround yourself with a good network of people and be open enough and transparent enough to have those conversations, because you are going to hit a wall. You just will. But you need people around you to help you and support you. A lot of the work I do with the teams that I work on is exactly that. It's sometimes it's a sounding board. Like, fuck, I'm missing projections. Okay, let's just settle down and let's just look at this objectively and help them work through it. It's a big part of what I do is like being in leadership, and you have to almost sacrifice to a certain degree to give people that almost confidence that they can do it. And it's very rare that someone's got the ability to get back on the horse after falling off. Very rare. So I would say 100%, be more open with your communication. Talk to your
Mhm.
family, talk to your friends, talk to your team, talk to your sales manager, talk to the business owner, because it's not a weakness. It really isn't. The only weakness that you'll have is continue to suffer that. And then on the other end of it, you've got addiction, you've got depression, you've got everything else that comes along with it. And it really does take a certain type of person to get through this business. It really does. But it massively helps if you've got the right support network around you. It really does.
Yeah, I want to highlight something that you said there. Yes, have the right support network, but also have the courage to have those conversations, because you can have people around you who are your biggest cheerleaders, who are here for you when you fall. But if you don't have the courage to be like, crap, like I feel like a piece of shit just because I didn't close anything all day, like you need to have the courage to say that. And that way you could actually
Yeah,
get the support you need. I want to
absolutely right.
highlight that because I did not do that for so long. And I was just like relying on when I go on a coaching call to like talk about it. But in between coaching calls, I was like beating myself up and going further and further in the hole.
Yeah.
So
We are our biggest critics, aren't we? It's like it's what we do. We beat ourselves up over stuff that we essentially we can control, but when we feel out of control, it feels like a spiral. But I think if you were to take anything away from this conversation, just be vulnerable, because there's nothing wrong with it. It's not a weakness, it's a strength. And if you can empower the people to have those same conversations with you, it's not misery loves company, it's people supporting each other. Because, like I said in the beginning, more of like a full circle statement. If you, it's a team sport, it's not an individual game. And
mm,
so, the teams that I've worked on that have been the best, you get people going, "How you doing, man? You good? How you going today?" And they're just checking with you personally. Some of the best leaders I've ever worked with, they'll call you up. If your boss called you up right now, would you think, "Oh my God, I'm in trouble," or "I can't wait to speak to you"?
that's a good question everyone should ask themselves. That's really good.
I was always like, "What have I done?"
Yeah.
Because that's the industry, right? You only ever hear from
Mhm.
from a leader when you're in trouble. But some of the best leaders I've ever worked with would ring you up and go, "How you doing, man?" You're like, I'm good. What have I done wrong?" "Nothing. I'm just checking you're okay." And do you know what? That meant more to me than any fucking coaching call, because it meant you got my back.
Mm,
And I think that Simon Sinek talks about this a lot. It takes like a true leader to really to steer a ship and to really forge a team. And a team built on that kind of communication, you can't you can't you can't beat them, because they're so tight together that they'll live and die for each other. And if you can
mm,
create that on a team, and if you're fortunate enough to be part of a team like that, then you'll be the happiest you've ever been in this environment. You really, really will. But like, be that person that calls other people up on the team, goes, "How you doing?" Right? If more of us did that, then I tell you what, more of us would get through this. We really would. More of us would be happier, we'd be healthier, wealthier, and everything else that comes along with it. I just, and I really do want us to help each other a little bit more. It's very easy to berate each other and take the piss out of each other, and only ever congratulate each other when you've got a win. But when those people around you are quiet, like, just put a call in. It doesn't take you 5 minutes to put a call into someone and say, "How you doing?" Because that will mean more to that person than anything you could ever say to them, because they know that you've got their back, and they're not fear that they're going to lose their job, right? They will, you like, as a sales rep, you'll be able to pull yourself out of any hole if you're in the right environment. you
mm.
know if you have this like hard sell sales culture, and people are calling you POS every 5 seconds and making you question your life choices, then it's not the team to be on. But being on a great team with great leadership can it's the best place to be. It's the best place to be. Really, really is.
I can tell like your leadership is just next level. Like what you said about just calling up reps and what you said about having the courage to actually have those conversations. I can tell that you create an environment where people can just be open and you can actually help them with meet them where they are. And that's something that not a lot of leaders do, actually. So
No,
that's something that if I when I do have a leadership position, I will
when
100
you
million
do.
percent. Yeah, when I
When you do. I mean,
do.
it's inevitable because like when you're good at what you do, um, and I was talking about this the other day actually, you have a responsibility to take leadership. When you're good at what you do, you have a responsibility to go up because
Mm,
the impact that you can then create far exceeds that personal satisfaction you get from closing deals. And you get to make a change in the industry that wasn't there before you. And I,
mm,
and I think that it would be a shame if you didn't, because you have an incredible skill set, a great awareness. And again, people can learn from you in so many other ways than just sales. But yeah, how to show up and show out and really thrive in a career. I mean, I think anyone that has got the privilege to be led by you will thrive under you because it is a congruence there, you know. So promise me when you get the opportunity, you'll take it.
I appreciate that. Yes. I don't even know what getting that opportunity looks like. I feel like I have to create that opportunity. I don't know. What do you think?
More than enough you do. But what will happen first and foremost is someone will identify that in you and they will offer you the opportunity to do so. And at that time, it's like a fork in the road moment. It's, have I done everything I can in sales for now? And that growth opportunity is there because when you go into leadership, you often earn less money. So you have to be prepared to take the rough with the smooth. But ultimately, the impact that you can create is far greater than the financial remuneration. Like 20 grand a month, 40K a month, 60K a month, it's all money in an account. Like it just is. Like, but where's the impact that you create? Where's the change that you make? And now being, I mean, I run several teams, but I get so much out of it seeing their comms checks come through because I know what it'll do for them, but I also know that my impact and how I help them thrive as sales reps will help them empower the prospects and clients that they speak to. And so when you go to that level, which is probably going to be about 8 to 12 months when you've kind of had enough of closing 100K deals, um, you'll step into that space and you'll be ready for it. But quite often you'll be invited to the show first. The big decision is, am I still in a cash area of my life, or am I ready to create an impact? Because some people get promoted too quickly and
Mhm.
they're still concentrating on cash. So it's you've just got to be aware of those choices, and those choices are like they won't be obvious to you at the time, and sometimes you'll take these positions like, oh, not ready for that yet. But you've got to really think about, and I think probably this is probably quite a nice segue to go, because there is no career trajectory in this business. It's not like you start here and you go here and here and here. You've got to figure it out as you go. It's, I would suggest for at least 3 to 5 years for most people, they just stack cash and they
Mm,
put themselves in a position where they can make sound investments and they can build up passive assets because there is no pension with this. It is you eat what you kill. And if
mhm,
something happens, you've got to make sure that you're set up for that. So spend those times investing, earning money, investing, earning money. Once you're at that stage, do you then have the freedom to pick and choose what you want to do? But put yourself in a position where you can earn passive to cover your lifestyle and then some. Once you're there, I call it the fuck you position because
mhm.
no one can touch you at that point. And so now you're taking opportunity because you want to, not because you have to. And honestly, I wish someone had told me that when I first started out because I didn't do that. And it was just like cash in, cash out, cash in, cash out, cash in, cash out. And you live that baller lifestyle. And it's like, well, where did it really get me? Like nowhere,
Mm,
right?
okay.
But
Yeah.
spend the time thinking about what you want your life to look like and hit that goal. Because cash in an account is fine, but it's the right kind of cash earned in the right way that's going to give you that security to keep on going moving forward. But yeah, please make investments and, make sure that you have, because if something happens, you've always got like that income coming in to know that you're financially safe.
Mm-hmm.
Because hey, marketing could crash tomorrow and maybe you're out of a job for a couple of months, not being someone like yourself, but it might be a little bit of time before you find another position. Have cash in an account to cover your monthly expenses for at least 3 to 6 months. Invest in passive assets so you've got money coming in as well. Look after yourself because you never know what's going to happen. And I've seen so many sales reps, get ill, or so many sales reps where things have happened, families happen, lives happen. But if you're not working, you're not earning. And that stress is insurmountable,
Mm,
absolutely insurmountable if you don't sort that out.
yeah. That's really, really good advice. I feel like people don't give enough financial advice for closers because we're just so focused on like the skill set and making the money. But yeah. So I have a rapid fire question segment. You just say first thing that comes to mind, okay? How would you describe the champion mindset in 3 words?
Resilient, determined, and motivated.
Okay, awesome. Um, what is your mission with the work that you do?
Impact. I want to create as much impact to the people around me. And I want to leave the industry better off than when I came into it.
Mm. What was your boogeyman that you had to conquer when you were
Mm.
coming up in sales?
Um, that I was good enough.
Mm.
It's
Okay.
very rare that people acknowledge the fact that they're good enough or they deserve what they get. Coming from a fairly, we had no money growing up. So it's like you have that mindset around money and, do I deserve that? And like when you hit your first big paycheck, it's like, I don't deserve that. And you feel like an imposter. That's the biggest thing I needed to get over at first was that.
Mm. Who inspires you?
Interesting. My dad, because he never gave up. He had a lot of challenges when he first started his career, had a few failures, but he never quit ever. And my mom's the same way. So they worked and worked and worked and worked and worked and never get up, never quit. I never saw them give up, never saw them quit. And I never ever saw them ever just go, I failed. Never. And we didn't have a lot of money and we didn't, have an abundant lifestyle. But that work ethic for me has been probably the biggest thing I've gotten out of this. And it's the biggest thing that I expect of other people around me as well.
Okay. What's the truth about personal development that most people are resisting?
They they don't buy into it. So for example, you hear something from Tony Robbins, he's not wrong. You just didn't, you're not, you're not taking it personally, right? So you're kind of like you're hearing it, but you're not doing it. And because of that, there is a tolerance to mindset and motivation. When you say mindset to people, they go, oh, God, what that again? But it changes everything. And the reason why it doesn't take is because you didn't take it seriously,
Yes.
right? And it's just they listen, but they don't hear, they don't acknowledge. Um, like I went to my first Tony Robbins again many years ago, and I didn't get to the first day, so I apologize for that one. But there was a guy who was so pumped up, so excited, um, and I knew the next day when he went back to work, then nothing was going to change for him because it was nice being in that environment, but he didn't make it necessary to his life. And I think that that's really important to make those things that you say on a daily basis. Time is short, all that kind of stuff. If you took that seriously, you wouldn't hesitate, not even for a minute. You would just do it and go forward, make decisions, make mistakes, fuck up as many times as you want to, but at least you're moving forward. But again, we listen, but we don't hear and we don't do. So I think
Mm.
that's probably the biggest truth about personal development.
Yes. Okay, last but not least, what was the lowest low of your sales career and the highest highlight?
Bankruptcy.
Ooh.
I went through a few different offers, and again, this was probably about 8 years ago now, and I spiraled down in a huge way, in a massive, massive way. And I was living off credit cards and trying to pay the bills. But that lack of confidence took me into a very, 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 very dark place. But I had no one to help me get out of it. And so I had to fight myself out of it. And that took a lot to pull myself out of that. But I had no one and nothing to lean on. And I had to bet on myself to win. And it was one of those moments where, you hear like these stories about, people living in their cars and stuff like that. And, it wasn't the car just yet, but I defaulted on my rent at least twice. So I was that close. But there was only one person that could have got myself out of it, and that was me. So that took some inner work, but that wasn't proactive inner work. That was reactive inner work. And the only other thing I could do to get out of it was dial till my bloody ears bled and create enough leads for me to sell to get myself out of it. And that really, really turned me around and gave me that self-belief and that confidence that, do you know what? When my back's against the wall, I can pull myself out of anything. And that's how I feel now. If I lost it all tomorrow, I'll get it back because I know
Mm.
that I've got the work ethic, the resilience, and I'm motivated to do so. Um, so yeah, it's I think that every every person that you deem to be successful has been in a dark place because it's that constant reminder of where you could be. And I think that fear of going back there, it just makes you work 2 more hours a day, 4 more hours a day, take more sales
Yes.
calls. I think until you've experienced rock bottom, you've you will never find that depth to which you can go to or how hard you can work if your back's truly against the wall. So yeah, um, brings back a lot of memories that when you ask that question.
Wow. I feel like I'm talking to a British Alex Hormozy, honestly. Like, what an honor. Like, seriously. Oh my gosh. I knew this was going to be good, but oh, okay. So, last but not least, can you please, as the guest of honor, propose a challenge for the listeners? Every week, I challenge listeners to do something to move the needle toward becoming the person that they want to be. So, what can they do this week?
um, I'm big on this. I want you to take 2 sales calls that you did this week, and I want you to study them, right? And I want you to study them for 3 things. I want you to look at the first 10 minutes of your call and focus on discovery. I want you to focus on just your presentation, and I want you to focus on objection handling. And I want you to listen to them in isolation and work on those things that you pull from that, and ask for help on those things, and make sure that you're really studying your own performance and become aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it, but start to understand the subtle nuances that make you you. 2 sales calls. So you're listening for, did I stick to the process? First and foremost, my tonality. Was it good? Was it engaging? Was I conversational? And the last thing, knowing the objection, right? Knowing the objection, where did the objection come up that it could have dealt with it? Because, and if you do this yourself, I promise you'll find it. On a deal you didn't close, I guarantee the objection came up in the first 10 minutes. And I could promise you that because you weren't listening for it. You heard what the client said, but you didn't hear what the client said. Every single time I challenge you, when you get a no deal and you get an objection at the end, it always comes up in the first 10 minutes. I can promise you every single time. So my challenge is to be more hyper aware in discovery and not treat it as just a rapport build because it isn't. We say that ABC always be closing. From the
Mhm.
second your mouth opens to say hello is when the sale starts. So don't relax in discovery. Be hyper aware because that is where the rubber meets the road on the sales calls. I can promise you, with that level of awareness, if you dial in on discovery, I promise you, your discovery will not just be a bunch of questions. You will help a client make a decision to change. And that's what I want you to focus on in discovery. I'm a huge advocate of discovery in a massive way because that helps someone get over the fear to change. And if you can get the culmination of discoveries, that decision to change, if you can get someone there, your pitch hits harder and the price doesn't seem as bad because they want to change. They've found the vehicle and now it's just a case of ones and zeros. So study your own game tape, become more
Amazing.
aware and make changes. Yep.
Yes. I love how specific and practical and concrete that is. There is no excuse for someone to not do this. Thank you so, so much. This was amazing.
Welcome. Thank you for having
Yeah,
me.
of course. All right. Have a good one, Sean.
You too. See you later. Bye bye.
Bye. Wow, how amazing was this episode? Like, I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be that good. Okay. I am so, so, so happy and honored to have Sean on here because he just tells it like it is. He tells you the hard truths, and I'm so excited to take actionable steps on that challenge. I think that going back, no matter how confident you do feel in yourself, going back and seeing, okay, this is how I talk. This is my personality coming through here. So that way you can feel more confident in yourself so that you can be that person. You know what I mean? I feel like we're in the matrix here, but this is the stuff that's going to make the biggest difference and move the needle. Trust and believe. Okay. If you stay till the end, thank you so much for listening, for watching. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss my next episode. Oh my goodness. I can't get over how great this was. As always, don't forget to hold yourself to a higher degree so you can be the most effective leader you can be. Till next time. Bye, guys.